Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand Fans Forum. Nottingham Forest come to Old Trafford and they beat Manchester United 3-2. Two back-to-back losses in the Premier League for Ruben Amorim and Manchester United. And where do we start with that performance? I am joined with Tull, Kev and Ricky. I mean, Tull, I'll come to you first. You weren't on the build-up show. But all in all, 3-2 at home to Nottingham Forest. A lot of Man United fans thought this was just going to be a straightforward win. You shouldn't underestimate Nottingham Forest, but at the end of the day, Manchester United, they should be beating. They should be beating the likes of a Nottingham Forest. We've got beat. Ruben Amorim did say we're going to have to suffer. Do you think that is part of the suffering? Did you see any glimmers of hope in that performance?
I didn't think we'd win. Personally, I didn't think we'd win today. I was hoping we'd get a draw at least. I thought, when you look at Forest's 11 against our 11, you just have to hold your hands up and say, they've got better players than us, and there was a lot of if you want to pick out certain positions and compare what we've got to what they've got on the pitch, you look at a lot of them and go, yeah, they've got a lot more quality in that position. But I was hoping, with it being at Old Trafford, even though they're a better side than us, hopefully we can at least come away with a point and maybe even nick it. But yeah, part of the suffering, I feel like we've got a hell of a lot more suffering to go, because it's going to take a lot more than one or two transfer windows to clean up that squad. Absolutely. I mean, Kev, some people thought, just changing the manager would change things, and there was just one person to blame. Ruben Amorim is in charge now, and of course, we all back him, and we all think he's the right guy to take us forward, but he's got a lot to unpack with this squad. Of course, Ten Hag did buy a lot of this squad, which isn't good enough, but I was speaking to Ricky on the way out of Old Trafford, and I said, I think the squad is generally closer to like relegation standard than it is like title winning standard. That's where
we are in the table, aren't we? If you look at it, yeah.
Well, that's where we're at. So where does Ruben Amorim start with this?
I think he's under no illusion of what he's taken on coming to United. You can bang the drum and say that he hasn't got the players in to fit his kind of system, but I mean, in terms of the performance today, it's annoying, because I feel that all 3 goals were kind of preventable. So you look at them in isolation. We were obviously just looking at the first goal. Was it Milenkovic scores? The zonal marking again. I'm like, bloody hell, have we not learnt from like Wednesday? And I know Arsenal's set pieces were superb, ridiculously good. But in the first minute of the game or whatever, you've got an uphill kind of struggle then. But Amorim's going to be under no illusion of the task that he's got here at United. We are 13th in the league. The table doesn't lie. That's where we are. Whether we like it or not, I wish we were somewhere else. But no, it's tough. It's tough to take. I'm disappointed.
Ricky, I was walking out of Old Trafford, and sometimes you say things and you're in the moment because you're just annoyed. But it's been a bit of time since then, and I still feel the same way. I said I genuinely couldn't care less who goes in the summer. Couldn't care less. They could sell any of them and I would be on board with it. It just feels like we need to basically go through the whole squad and gut the lot. Obviously there is some players there that are worth building around. I could name them. I've talked about them before. Ugarte, Mazraoui, obviously Yoro, Kobe Manu, a few of the younger players as well that show that they have potential. But a lot of that squad needs filtering out, and he needs to bring new players in. I mean, if you're Ruben Amorim, you're going into your next Premier League game is against Manchester City. I know they've just had a draw at Crystal Palace. But do you continue with this style of football that he's trying to play with these players, and you just see through the hard times, like he says?
No, not for me. I said on the build-up show that I didn't use these exact words, but his idea of a number 10, all energy and running all over the field like Garnacho, but not necessarily all over the field, but he's putting too much importance on energy, far too much importance, and not enough importance on skill and guile. And our number 10s for me would definitely be better if Mount was included more often. We've got Casemiro, who could play next to Ugarte. I think Manu would make a good number 10. He turns well, he sees the angles, he looks for the little passes. Even Eriksen, and when I say even Eriksen, I think Eriksen's a top player. And what's mad is that this manager has come in and played Eriksen in one game. I mean, don't tell me it would have been any worse today if Christian Eriksen would have played. You know, he had one game against Ipswich under his new manager and he's discarded him. And we've all sat here and said that Eriksen was just about our best player leading up to that. I
was going to bring that up today, Rick.
I think he played for an hour, didn't he? And he's discarded him. Now, I'm not saying he's our greatest player, and I get this about him, like he hasn't got longevity in him. But we're playing Forest at home. We need to look after the ball better. We need to try and pull them about. We need to keep moving the ball around and not. If you give the ball away, of course, there's a chance of them breaking and scoring. It's when you're in that final third. And Garnacho today there was one ball that Garnacho tried to play to Bruno towards the corner flag, and it went out. Bruno had no chance of catching it, and I think Dalot did the same. And you've just got to understand that you need to keep the ball better. You are probing and you're pulling them around to try to make an opening, but it does lots of other things. While you're probing and trying to make an opening, and they're running around trying to mark players and all that, they're tiring. They've got to keep concentrating. The concentration levels have got to be high right throughout. But also, while you've got the ball, they can't score. There's so many different levels to it. And we've got to, for me, the 2 10s have got to be 2 players who can pass the ball around and see the angles. And I think Bruno did a lot of good stuff today. You've told me a couple of things that you thought were horrendous, so, which I can't remember. I can't wait to re-watch it. But I thought Bruno, in the first half today, I saw him turning and feeding Ahmad quite a lot. I didn't think Bruno was doing too bad today. But no better than I think Eriksen would have done if he was playing, and no better than Mainu would have done if he was playing in that role. What's wrong with changing it up a little bit and getting, or even putting Dalot on the right and Mazraoui on the left and then playing Ahmad as a 10? We've got so many options. And then when he brings his first substitution on, it's Rashford. To me, that's brain dead. He's never going to be a number 10. He's not got the guile. He's never going to be a number 10 as long as he plays the game. And he's already driving me mad. Look, I don't mind his formation. And he started to play Ahmad all the time, which the other manager never played Ahmad. But he's still sticking, and I will say Bruno, but mainly, for Beth's sake, he's still sticking with Bruno, but he's still sticking with Rashford and Garnacho. And if Rashford's on the bench, he's the first man he brings on. Stop it! Just stop it!
To be fair to Ruben Amorim, he's not exactly got a wealth of riches to choose from.
No, but I've just named players that can play.
Eriksen's
4 or 5 players. 4 or 5 players that can play in them roles.
I thought before the international break, every single one of us was saying Eriksen's our best player this season.
He was.
He's nowhere to be seen. It took 1 week.
So would you
what he played, didn't he, against Ipswich?
Would you change the system now to suit the players?
No, not necessarily the system, but I believe we've got players, certainly the number 10 positions. The number 10 positions,
That's a vital
we've got lots of players who could play better in those positions. Today, we've got Garnacho playing at number 10. He's not a number 10. I don't know what this manager thinks about. I don't want to start jumping in on him yet.
I agree with you, he's not a 10.
He's not a number 10, is he?
No.
A number 10, well, think of number 10s that you've seen, good number 10s like Odegaard or back in the day, Juan Mata. They're really silky, movers with the ball, switched on, little passes, get it back, get somebody in behind. That's what a number 10 should be doing, not running at them and dribbling it.
To be fair, by the way, I do agree with you in the sense of our number 10s are not good enough and not providing what they need to, and I agree that Rashford isn't number 10, but we were losing when Rashford came on the pitch. Like, we were losing the game.
It's not his fault, but what I'm saying is his first thought to try and get back into the game is to bring Marcus Rashford on. Honestly, it's stupidity.
I think a lot more needed changing than just having Garnacho on the pitch. I think taking Garnacho off and Rashford on, that's just a like for like, isn't it? You're not going to see, you're not really going to see a different outcome, I don't think, from taking Garnacho off and bringing Rashford on. I said on the Arsenal forum midweek, well, I think you said to me, Beth, we would you rather have on the pitch Garnacho and Rashford? I said neither.
You said neither.
They just don't fit.
They don't suit the system.
It's this system, because if you're going to play,
absolutely don't.
They're not wing backs, so that's the only place they can fit in, and they're not number 10. So I said the same thing. I said I worry for a lot of these so-called attacking players further forward because they are not going to, fit the system. But at the same time, Amorim, for me, has to stay true to his beliefs. Louis van Gaal did this, didn't he? He started with 3 at the back, and then he kind of changed it to suit the players. Don't give them an easy ride. If they can't take on the task, the information that's being given, fitting into this system, then it's them that go, because too many managers have gone for this reason.
Couldn't say it better myself, Kev. I think he's got to obviously stick with this system.
Stay true to it.
I believe there's a reason why he's brought him in, but do you know, I think Ruben Amorim, he's not lost this is the first home game he's lost since, I think it was February or even January, when they lost to Porto. Sporting Lisbon lost to Porto. He was on an unbeaten streak for a very long time with Sporting Lisbon. Look at Sporting Lisbon since he's left. They've just been lost. Like, he's a very good coach. His system, I believe in it, and we need to stick with it. That's why we brought him in. But it gets to the point, it's like, I don't want to be disrespectful, but he's trying to do pre-season midway through a season basically and teach these players. And it's also, you're teaching very low IQ level footballers. I'm sorry, but you are. Let me just speak. Some of the decisions that these players make are mind-blowing to me.
Correct.
It's mind-blowing to me. And it's like, I think what summed it up was Onana wasting 20 seconds
trying to gain 3 yards.
Like, that's just certain things they do. We noticed it, we're watching. Dalot plays a through ball to Bruno as if it's
Live for Christie.
Yeah, as if it's like Usain Bolt's there. Like, he's not got pace. And fair enough if it was, an Ahmad, a Garnacho or a Rashford or something. Bruno's not got pace. I mean, that shot that he took as well, we'll get on to Dalot, but it's not just him. So many of the players just making silly, low IQ level mistakes and individual errors, and it's just low IQ level footballers. The majority of them, some aren't. I think Mazraoui's absolutely class. Like, some aren't, but there's too many low IQ level footballers, and he's trying to teach them. And it's like me trying to teach, my 2-year-old cousin how to, ride a bike at 2 years old. It's like it's really tough for the manager to try and get the best out of players who aren't simply, the majority, I'm not saying all, but the majority of them have proved over and over again that they can't be trusted and they're not good enough. Some players will improve. Some players will be able to do the work. Some players will end up being successful under Amorim, but there's too many that it's just, in my opinion, near impossible to get them to the level where we need them to be.
So-called average players, isn't there? I think we build them up. We're probably guilty of it. But any United fan saying certain players, this term world class, how many world-class players have Manchester United got this moment that would walk into like any other team in world football?
No.
Yeah. Exactly. And you wonder why we're 13th in the league. We're 13th for a reason. We deserve to be there. We don't want to be there. You look at the money that Erik ten Hag spent. I just said to you earlier, didn't I? 600 odd million. Are any of them players an improvement? For the money that's been squandered, it's absolutely mind-boggling. But Amorim needs to get his players in. And you talk about another rebuild now. This is what certain elements of the fan base wanted. Erik ten Hag, get him out, and then at the same time you get a new manager in now, and then the draw to Ipswich, they were like, they say it on Amorim, it's the players aren't good enough. We know that. We watch this every single week. We know that the players, a lot of them players are simply not good enough.
And he's got to realise, that's what I was about to say, he's got to realise quickly which ones they are. And these players that he keeps playing at number 10 are not good enough. We're all right at 6, we're all right in defence, we're all right wides, centre forward.
Today
today. But Yoro obviously should have done better, shouldn't he? And obviously Martinez not strong enough. You could argue he's not picking the best players there as well, I suppose. But in general, we do all right defensively. In general, not great today. Let's be fair. I think we said this before. I think 2 weeks ago we were standing there with the second best defensive record in the league, weren't we? And there was only about 2 better than us this morning. So it was a shock really to let 3 goals in. But it's them number 10s. They're not number 10s. And like Beth just said, he's trying to teach them this. And stop trying to teach them. Just get somebody in who can pass it and who can turn and who can play with a bit of guile. Play Eriksen. Don't tell me it would have been worse today with Christian Eriksen instead of Garnacho. I'm not having it. I'm just not having it at all.
Well, Mods has tweeted, obviously he's not here with us today, but he's tweeted saying, at 20 years old you can get married, move across the world, start a family, own a business, fly a plane and go to war. But when it comes to knowing when to pass a ball, it's too young.
It's got to go viral, that bad boy.
He seems like he's fed up like the rest of us here with that. Garnacho has been getting quite a lot of criticism recently. I mean, Kev, do you feel like he's stagnated a bit?
Big time. There's loads of them. You know, Dalot, you could argue as well. You know, I always said he was the most kind of improved player under Erik Ten Hag. He seems to have gone backwards. There's just so many of them at the minute that you look at and you think the only time Amorim can kind of test drive these kind of tactics is in game. You know, he's tried it against Arsenal. It worked to an extent until we went 1-0 down, and then we lost for ideas. Today's the same thing again. You know, he's trying to find these players, but he'll work out very quickly. You know, it's only going to take 3 or 4 games or whatever he's had now. He'll know the players that he can kind of rely on to get a bit of a shift out of. And even before this game, you know, even when you hear him saying that he wants his players to run like dogs, you know, we're actually back to this thing of basic stuff where he's picked up on it. We know that. You know,
got a stat for you, Kev.
Go.
Manchester United are 16th in the league for distance covered.
Since
It's
been an issue.
Since Amorim?
All season.
It's been an issue back from the Mourinho days. Mourinho called this out and said, you know, so-called players were not putting it in. I think there was a game at Everton where it was like the lowest running sort of statistics for United in a Premier League game, and it's just not acceptable. The least you expect is players to run. You know, Roy Keane again, just do your job. You know, just got.
Do you know what's mad as well? You've got
such
like
a basic thing, but
we had Beckham, Bruno, Giggs. You know, all these players that were absolutely phenomenal. Like, you know, the players in the current Man United team couldn't lace the boots, but they gave everything, ran up and down constantly. It's crazy where we were to where we are. I mean, just to like kind of finish up the conversation on Garnacho, I'll ask you, Tull. Do you think a lot of people saying he's stagnated? A lot of people getting frustrated. Do you think this is what I think it is, really. I think he was obviously built him up so quickly, and he has scored some important goals for Manchester United, and there is obviously something there. But then people get carried away and they expect him to be something he isn't yet, and maybe you've built him up too much, and you're expecting out of him what he isn't really capable of yet. It's like you're asking a bench player to be the star first teamer. Is that, do you think, where he's at right now?
I think what you said's right, and I also think Garnacho himself has likely bought into that idea. Do you know what I mean? I think he's probably bought into that idea as well. But the club, the people at the club have a responsibility to nurture young players and make sure they stay grounded and don't buy into anything like that. I just hope we don't do it with any other young players. I think Garnacho last season, I said we overplaying him. I think it was about April time we played Sheffield at home, and I said Garnacho looks absolutely knackered. We ran him into the ground. He needs a rest. Even now though, where he's only really playing 1 game a week. He's played 2 games this week, hasn't he? He started Arsenal, and he started today at Old Trafford. But before that, he was playing. It was either him or Rashford, wasn't it? So he was only really playing 1 game a week. And even then, it was like you didn't really see a big increase in quality. I actually thought the first 20 minutes or so today, or rather the 20 minutes after we conceded the first goal, I thought Garnacho probably played his best bit of football we've seen in a while. I thought he was keeping it a bit more simple.
Winning quite a few fouls.
Yeah, I thought on that side of the penalty box, he had that fullback or that wide centre half on toast, and he kept going for him, and we won 2 big fouls in that same position. It might have even been 3 big fouls, but after that second half, I thought, second half just wasn't
it's just
enough.
decision making again, because obviously at Arsenal, he lost the ball in the defensive
He was
third.
I think he was a lot worse at Arsenal than he was today.
Yeah, but he lost the ball in the defensive third corner. They score. They had a lot of corners, but they score off that one. Today, I know I'm probably being picky, but him and Bruno are passing it, and I think he gives a poor pass, from what I remember, to Bruno. They counter-attack on us, and they go up the other end and score. It's a little bit after the passage of play, but it still all contributes. And it's just, like Ricky said, to be fair, looking after the ball more carefully and being wiser. Now, anyone can, that could have happened to any of the players, and we do it a lot, but that's something that I think needs to be worked on across the whole team and him as well. It's just decision making, like we've spoken about over and over again. Got some super chats in. Mythic says Ruben will learn a lot from this match. Robert says this happened under Van Gaal, Mourinho, Ole Ten Hag, and now Amorim. This has not been a manager problem and never has been. It's a player culture problem. Jason says it's a poisonous, toxic atmosphere. Keel says left-footed Anthony should have started over Dalot. Thomas McArdle says 4 goals in a row from corners. Vinny Red 1 says if Ruben thought he knew his best 11, he'll think again. AA272, Dalot and Bruno are hard-working but not intelligent. Josh Burke says, Ricky, it's simple, get rid of the players. It's not a system issue. This is modern football. Running and intensity is a must. AY says Hoyland, Garnacho and Bruno equals 0 ball retention. Jake says £66 for that, daylight robbery. I said on my way up here I'd rather watch Fulham. See Sergio Ratcliffe's quote about Fulham tickets. I'd rather watch Fulham. Pay £66 to watch Fulham than that. Danny H says Ericsson and Casemiro are not the long-term future, so why would we play them for the short-term gain? I think that's a really good chat. Combating what Ricky said. They're not the long-term future, so why is Ruben Amorim going to waste time investing into them?
I kind of get it.
But are these players the long-term future?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
You're trying to probably
I'm talking about getting the right ones, aren't I? You know, some of them are. Obviously, Mazraoui's got a great chance. Ahmad's got a great chance. There's a few. I'm just saying that Rashford hasn't, and Garnacho probably hasn't. Let's put him on the bench.
Anthony as well.
Anthony, no chance.
That's the thing with the system, because it doesn't play with wingers.
We need to start winning games now. If we've got a player who's 40, who would help us win a game tomorrow, I'd play him. Doesn't matter. I don't care how old you are. It's about winning games. And I know you've got to think of the future, but those players have got to have patience and be behind the senior player who's keeping you out of the team. And then when you get your game, for whatever reason, tiredness for the older player, injury, suspension, whatever it might be, when you get your chance, you've got to grab your chance with both hands, and nobody's doing that.
Olive says this manager...
Or virtually no one, sorry.
Yeah.
Olive says this manager isn't good enough. His subs were off. Very terrible. I mean, if you're saying Ruben Amorim needs to leave after 3 games is ridiculous. That honestly.
Oh, there'll be people.
Take that chat somewhere else. Siraj says thoughts on Onana. He always has that error in him. I mean, we'll talk about that, and I'll get to the rest of the super chats in a second. Obviously, Andre Onana had a bad game today, like everybody knows it. But he's been very good all season. Obviously, you're still criticising. But it's one of them games. I think a lot of members of the defence weren't on it today. I mean, I thought Dalot was terrible. I thought Martinez was really poor. Onana was obviously very poor as well. I mean, set pieces again, and this is what I talk about low IQ, because it just sums this team up. I mean, Kev, 3 goals from 3 corners in 2 games. It's like, yeah.
It's insanity, man. Honestly, when you're a minute into the game and you sit, and I'm watching obviously, and the first thing, another set piece, you know, because Wednesday's still fresh in the head, and I'm thinking, I can't actually, you know, when are you going to change it? You're a bit more old school. Zonal marking wouldn't have even been a thing, you know, this thing of marking an area of space. And what it leaves is then, when the runners come in, you've got that Milenkovic, basically one-on-one with, you know, our smallest defender in Martinez. It's so simple for them. Happened. Yeah, and they're overloading, they're targeting the weakness in our sort of back line, which is that height thing. It was just so easy. And the annoying thing is, it was preventable, we didn't do it. And even at the point when they scored the 3rd goal, they only had 3 shots on target. You know, and you can look at that and go clinical, they've done us. But, I mean, credit to Nottingham Forest as well. You know, there was, for when we got back into that game at 3-2, even under this team now, you know, you still feel like we could have gone on and, you know, nicked a point towards the end. I know we didn't do that, but just the goals that we conceded, they were all preventable. I know you can say a lot that, you know, any goal is preventable, but just them on the Onana one, honestly, he must be having nightmares about that tonight. I'm going to have nightmares as well, because I've credit where credit's due. We've sat here many times now. You know, the clean sheets that he's got, we felt like he'd eradicated these mistakes from his game. That is a mistake. For any top keeper, a shot like that, it's not top corner, it's not in the corner, it's straight down the throat of him. And again, the worrying thing about him, he is, you know, he's got these mistakes in him, and it just depends what kind of a game it's in as to what it's going to cost you. And you could argue it's cost us, you know, a point today, but...
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few players that obviously didn't have their best games. I'm going to be honest, and I know this isn't, you know, something that's popular, I'm getting more and more unsure on Martinez as the games go on. I thought Martinez's first season was incredible when he was playing next to Varane. This season, I don't think he's been as good as what he's needed to be. And again today, I just think
he's off it.
I just think out of possession, down that channel, you can get at him. I really think we need a left-sided centre-back, at least to give him some competition. I thought, obviously on the corner, he's Milinkovic is massive, and he's going to be. I think that's more on like the zonal marking thing. I think we should be going man-to-man on that and putting our tall players on the tall players. I don't really blame him for that, but it's just. That was it. The second goal, him and Onana. It was terrible. I mean, there's been a few instances where I've seen him got done down that left-hand side, and it's something that I'm going to be looking out for more in the future. And I love Lisandro Martinez's mentality. I thought that left-sided centre-back spot in that back three under Amorim, he was going to take it and he was going to run with it. And I thought that's going to be his role, and I thought he was going to excel massively. I know we're only a few games in. I hope he does, because he does have the mentality, and he has a lot of attributes I like. I think his progressive passing is excellent, but I just think out of possession, in terms of defending, it's poor. You do have to call it out. You know, nobody is immune from criticism. It's not like he's been consistently good. And I do feel that Martinez gets a bit of a free pass because he's kind of a fan's favourite. You know, the Argentina chants, the fact that he does wear his heart on his sleeve. So in that sense, it's refreshing. But again, if you're looking more long term, and if you're going to play with a back three, especially when you've got somebody like, let's say, Mazraoui was missing today, you know, you could argue that obviously he should have been starting today, but he's got a rest or whatever. But in terms of the strongest back three, I mean, Dalot, I think, has been brilliant. Mazraoui has as well. And then if you're looking more long term for Euro coming in, then you kind of look and you start to think, well, where does Martinez fit in? You need a left-sided centre-back because you need someone left-footed. That's the thing. That's why Manchester United need to go for a left-sided centre-back. But like you said, you know, there is going to be competition with the players that we already have.
Big time.
Yeah, I thought Maguire came on and did well again.
I thought it was our best centre-back.
Everyone was laughing at me. I tweeted out saying we need to bring Maguire on, and people were like, are you serious, Beth? And I'm like, he was better than Martinez was. 100%. I know Martinez stayed on, but he's been playing well.
Before he even came on, so there's the first half, before there was even a sniff of Maguire coming on, I was watching Dalot on the ball. He was very slow on the ball, very indecisive when he was making passes. There were so many passes he could have made. There was Højlund dropping deep a couple of times, and even players like Mainu, Bruno were coming in, swapping positions, trying to get the ball off Dalot. And he was too slow. He was taking a second too long. You take a second too long, the pass is gone. And I thought to myself in the first half, I know it was only one game we've seen it where you can compare them, which was the Arsenal game, but we looked much better playing out from the back with Maguire in the middle.
We were struggling, weren't we, in that first half to progress the ball?
I just thought it was too slow.
Yeah.
I thought it was way too slow, and I thought, I know it was only one game against Arsenal, but Maguire that's probably as good as you're going to get. What Maguire was doing against Arsenal, that's probably as good as you're going to get. And then when Maguire did come on in the second half, I thought, well, he's obviously going to go in the middle, isn't he? Because he was good there against Arsenal, and I thought it was better. I thought it was higher quality passing.
He's comfortable in that system, isn't he, as well? Because you've seen him for England as well, where he definitely flourishes a lot better in a back three.
I do think overall, Martinez is our best player playing out from the back. We've just not seen it as much recently. Like, he's put a few balls over the top to Dalot that were really good, and when he actually, takes the ball and finds them passes into the midfield, he can fire in some really good passes, but he just wasn't doing it enough. I mean, Maguire, as good as he has been, he's not a long-term future for Manchester United. He's 31 now. He's injured a lot, very injury prone, out of contract in the summer. And if you're thinking, we need to bring Maguire on, that says we probably need improvements in that area of the pitch. And our defence has probably been our best thing this season, to be fair. And this game was a bad game for a lot of people, but I do think Martinez is one of the underperformers in that back line so far this season. So we'll just have to look at it and see how it goes. Get your comments in the chat. We've got Nigel saying, if we can change the system for the players, we might as well sack the manager. City All The Way says, Ugarte ranked in the bottom 10th percentile for aerial duels in the French league, while Casemiro was 85th percentile last year, his worst since 2014, yet the highest for Manchester United by a lot. He also said, teams target your squad during set pieces and corners, because apart from Maguire and Casemiro, most of our players struggle in aerial duels, and even Dalot's stats aren't good. I mean, we'll talk about Ugarte a bit more, but I thought he had a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Danny says, blame the players when Rude had them lot flying. Vinny Red One says Bruno not a system player, always reverts to type. Dalot cannot keep the place in that team. Mainoo looks clueless at a natural Rasmus limited footballers. I thought Rasmus did good today, to be fair, but I'll get everyone else's opinions on that. Michael says Ricky putting this on Ruben is insane. Honsi says guys go through the last decade and managers times with us. Each era of a manager keeps getting worse and worse. If we had a graph on Excel with our form over the years, is going on a straight slope down. Kenshin says who is better at defending? Who is the better defender that Ricky's talking about that we can select? Jason Hanna says Garnacho liking a tweet criticising Martinez. Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. A lot of people were super chatting about that. Billy Welch says football is thin margins and a lot of luck. We have players like Bruno, Rashford, Garnacho, Onana, Dalot. They don't give us consistency. I think that's a good point. Artin says still can't wrap my head around the fact that we traded De Gea for Onana. That makes sense. Can I just say, so many people going in on Onana, and it just shows that there is certain there's agendas in this fan base, and when people don't like a player. Onana was bad last season, in the first half of the season and in the Champions League, yeah. Since January, he got a lot better. This season, he's arguably been the best keeper in the Prem, arguably. He's had one bad game. He's not the reason we're in 13th. He's not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's not.
No, he's been impeccable this season. I didn't even really want to. Obviously, he made mistakes. I think it was downhill for him today after the second goal went in because he knows he should have saved it, and I think it was just downhill from him from that point. But I don't think it's. I think it's a bit of an overreaction because he has been impeccable for the last, let's say, 6 to 8 months or so. So I think it's a big overreaction.
We've all sung his praises on here, haven't we? Again, it's credit where credit's due. At the same time, we're here to kind of, if you're going to pick fault on that, we can all sit here. Nobody can argue with you and say, oh, the ball swerved a bit there, and it was difficult for him. We've all watched it back. There isn't a sea of players in front that's made it difficult for him to see. It's literally, a very, very basic, thing as a goalkeeper. But you'll always get that De Gea thing thrown back at you because it's.
The thing is, it's like, he was definitely contributed to why we lost the game today. 100%. It was a bad game, and if he was doing that every week, or even, not even every week, even once a month, you'd be like, oh God, we really do need to improve there. But he's got us out of trouble a lot this season. He's been good this season. He's had one bad game, which, has cost us, and he does need to be held accountable. But it's not the reason we're in 13th place. No. It's not. I mean, we've got so many super chats coming in. Please keep getting your comments in. I'll try and read them all out. Alex says, more bad results will follow if we continue to take shots on when better options are on and fail to deal with set pieces. All 3 goals were avoidable. Salah Ahmed, I know it was only Everton, but I don't get why we didn't go back to that winning team that gave him his best win so far. Build on that and then keep rotating. Rob McCormack says, just come in. Is the Garnacho Martinez thing true? I don't know. It's all on Twitter. Watch No Face says, in hindsight, wish the Storm came in a bit more to the right. Onana glitched back to last year. Ahmad, Mazza, Ugarte, okay. Please free Dalot from the left. Well, again, it's like, we've been saying it for the last few weeks. Ugarte, Mazraoui and Ahmad are like our best players. And surprise, surprise, they're the best players again. The cream always rises to the top. The ones that are the best are going to perform better on, a consistent basis. With the players that aren't good enough are going to show that, which we've seen. I mean, I know it does feel like all doom and gloom, we're all disappointed, but is there any positives we can take from that result in terms of performance? Because Ruben Amorim said it's about performance, not result.
I thought we did for large parts of that game, possession-wise. I think it's just how you use it, isn't it? You say it's all right keeping hold of the ball, but it just seems to be kind of chances created. And again, you can look, and Nottingham Forest, they took the chances today. They really did. But it was always, it's going to be, whether it's going to be short-term pain for long-term gain or whatever it is under this manager. But I'm just glad with the super chats that people are putting in there that they're actually now questioning the players. Because you had so many people last season, and that the thing you have to look at is so many people were that invested in, get this manager out of my club, Eric Ten Hag, the bald fraud, whatever, get rid of it. All right then. But you've got a new manager and you are already still seeing the same kind of thing. I think there has been an improvement. He will need to get his players in. But, you know, these people that said it was Erik ten Hag that was the issue are probably now noticing very, very quickly that under Amorim in a certain period of time, that you can throw shade at the players as well.
The problem with that, though, Kev, is that a lot of the players in the squad are Erik ten Hag's players.
Yeah, it makes it difficult.
They're not Amorim's players, are they?
And it's no coincidence that probably, the only player that he's actually coached out of that team previously was Ugarte. You know, you could argue that's a player that he loved, and look at you're looking at the levels you're getting out of him. That's somebody who's worked under him, knows his methods. I know my job. It's whether the other players can get it into the head. You know, you've heard the way that Pep is at City. I think that it's well known that Calvin Phillips could not take the information on board, that he was just bamboozled with all the instructions he was getting, and he just couldn't get it. You know, I've said it before, it's Amorim's way or the highway.
Somebody sent a super chat in that I'd like to answer that she read out, that I said that Beth read out, sorry. That it's not what's Rick doing putting this on Amorim. I'm not putting this on Amorim. What I am saying about Amorim is I don't agree.
You question the substitution?
No, I don't. Well, I did question the substitution, but only because of who it was into what position. It was Rashford for Garnacho into that same position. They're not number 10s for me. They're not number 10s. People might laugh at this. Let me ask you this question. If we had Adama Traore, he's an upgrade on them too, isn't he? Faster, stronger. Well, am I right or wrong?
If that's what we're going for as a number 10,
Traore, would he be playing number 10 for us?
If that's what we're looking for,
because if somebody said to me, you've got to pick Rashford, Garnacho or Adama Traore, I'd pick Adama Traore every day of the week. Faster and stronger, that's what we're working on, isn't it?
Gives you something different. It's a hot take.
Faster and stronger.
Yeah.
And he's picking faster, well, it's not picking strong players, but he's picking faster players, so that's another benefit that he's got. Do you know what I mean? I want players with guile in that position. Yeah. Not players with pace.
Take a shot in this forum every time Ricky said guile. It's a Saturday night. United have been deflated us all. If you want to get yourself hyped back up, that's the drinking game.
I like Ricky's new slogan, faster and stronger. New merch coming soon. Ricky will have a t-shirt.
Do you know what? I think it's ridiculous. I really do think. I'm sorry, and I'm not putting it on him. But that's a little thing that I think he needs to think. A
little chink in his armour.
He needs to think differently about what a number 10 is.
I'd want to start Mount every single game if I could, but he's obviously trying to get through that injury. We had the period where he was injured consistently and couldn't get through a number of games, so he's obviously trying to just keep a consistent run of games going for him. But I think if he was fully fit, he should absolutely be starting, because like you said, he's fast. Not fast. Sorry, he's pacey. He's strong. Pacey's not the word.
He's got more guile.
He's energetic, yeah. He's got guile.
Another shot.
He's energetic, he gets around the pitch, he presses well, he's a good passer of the ball. I think it would be definitely an upgrade if Mount was starting in that team over.
We said that on Wednesday, didn't we, after the game? Because we were asking the question, could Bruno and Mount be them two number 10s? They're certainly more suited to it, because that is their job and that's what they do. Whereas when you throw a Rashford, a Garnacho, whoever is he going to try Anthony in there? I don't know, but it's going to become very, very clear and evident that these wingers, there's no room for them unless they're going to play wing back.
That's exactly it. You can say whatever you want about. Yeah, you can say whatever you want about. Well, Mount's not done enough when he's played, but at least you be playing a number 10 in the 10.
Yeah, you're not
rather than playing your
rather
than playing your wingers in the 10.
Yeah. Christian Eriksen, like you say, whoever.
Ron McCormack said, Ricky, I don't think Traore would have 138 United goals at 27.
Big deal. What's that got to do with playing at number 10?
Big deal.
What has that got to do with playing at number 10? That's it. He's got all them goals playing on the left wing, hasn't he?
Oh,
well, hasn't he?
Get to some more super chats in a minute. I mean, speaking about the left wing, I really want to talk about the wing back situation. Left wing back, Diogo Dalot. How can a player be so good and then just be so poor in recent weeks? I thought he started the game all right, but it went downhill very, very quickly. I mean, just a little stat to bring in. 0 out of 9 accurate crosses. 0 out of 9. And this is again when
That's
I say...
a bit harsh, Beth. I've got to come in there. That's a little bit harsh, that, because when they talk about an accurate cross, they talk about it actually hitting a United player, obviously. That's what they're looking at. I mean, what is an accurate cross? At least 50% of the time when you cross the ball, you're crossing the ball into an area where you're hoping for the United player to get on the end of it.
Ricky.
So to say that, I'm not saying his crosses were all great, but some of them were decent into a decent area that nobody was on the end of.
Ricky.
It's not. You can't just say they're not accurate crosses.
You honestly, you need to get yourself to Specsavers because Dalot's crosses were bad. They were poor today, and there was instances again decision making. And this is what I talk about, having having the intelligence to know when to, cross it into the box or when to look on the outside for that pass. Sometimes it's like, actually, this is completely off topic, but a cross came into the box today, had 0 power on it, could have taken it down past it or even taken it down and had a shot. He tries to head it on goal. Did anyone see this in the dying minutes?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And there was so many of them sort of decisions. Obviously, we know his left foot is his weaker foot, and he's playing on the wrong side, and it is more difficult. But so many weak crosses going into the box when there was different options on for what his strengths were. It really frustrated me. On that shot, don't even get me started on that shot.
I said this last week, and I'll say it again. The manager has said he's better on the right and he will play on the right at some stage. He played on the right at Arsenal. It lasted 45 minutes because Malacia had to go off. Ahmad would do a better job on the left, without a shadow of a doubt. Why he doesn't just switch him is beyond me. I know Ahmad's playing great on the right, but don't worry, he'll play great on the left. He will. I know he didn't have his best game today. Still came up with a bit of magic to make Bruno's goal. But he will not let you down playing on the left, and it'll give Dalot a bit of a chance to show what he can do by playing on the right.
And he's stronger
he needs
position.
to swap him over for a couple of games.
It frustrates me about Dalot because I really I like him. I think he speaks really well. I think he's got a top mentality. We know what his dedication is behind the scenes. He's someone who is professional and does work hard, and he has got the right mentality. It's just, at the moment, he's been super poor. I don't know if it's because he's playing on the left and he needs to go to the right, like Ricky said. But it's just...
It seems to be since Amorim's come in, doesn't it? Under Eric Ten Hag, he was easily one of the standout players, like I said, the most improved player under Ten Hag without shadow of a doubt. But since Amorim's come in, again, whether it's the instruction or what he's being asked to do, it's just not happening. But it doesn't help himself as well, does he? In moments where you just, like you say, towards the end of the game there, where he's putting it in the top tier of the Stretford end, and you're thinking, what are you doing? It just seems all very erratic. And
that's another thing. That's like one of your wingers. Like I've always argued, we don't need the likes of Rashford and Garnacho when we were playing a 3 up top, and we had somebody on the left who always wanted to cut in and shoot. If he's on the right, Dalot, that situation doesn't arise.
Because he don't have to cut in.
If he comes inside, it's on his left foot, so he'll be looking to pass. Players get a bit excited, a bit hot-headed. Wow, I can shoot from here, and that's what happened to him. And he put it in the top tier. If he was cutting in from the right and had it in the exact same position, a mirror image, obviously, because it's on this side, he wouldn't shoot. If it's on his left foot, he'd look to pass. Yeah. And that's what you're better off with players on the right for numerous reasons who are right-footed.
Or is it that, different players suit different systems? Is Dalot better at coming into the midfield than being a wide player because he has to hold his position in Amorim's system, and under Eric Ten Hag he used to come into the midfield a lot and do really well coming into that position. So well, time will tell. But like I said on the build-up show, when we do get a proper left wing back in, which we have to do ASAP, honestly, I don't think we can even afford to wait till summer. I think we have to do it in January.
It's got to be the first signing in January.
Got to do it in January. Yeah. I don't think he gets in over Ahmad on the right. I don't. So it's one of them, isn't it?
He doesn't have to be getting in every game, though, because Dalot's one of these players who I think it's really him and Bruno play 90 minutes every game, pretty much.
You've got to be brutal as well. If he's going to stick to the system, you get the players to fit the system. There's no point going, but Dalot, he's sound, he's a great lad. There's no room for sentiment in football or whatever. Amorim will want to win games. That's what his job at United is going to be based on, and nobody wants to be 13th in the Premier League. It's embarrassing, man.
Robert McCormack said Martinez is a liability. I says Ahmad has 3rd most assists in the league, and our left side bias means he's being wasted at right wing back. Needs to be in the 10. I mean, Ahmad, again, like Ricky said, not his best game, but he's still the one who provides that bit of magic that we needed
Well, if you were talking about cutting inside, but I think it's just about how you use the ball, because Ahmad cuts inside a lot of the time, but he actually there's actually a quality end product from him cutting inside.
He does shoot a few times.
He will have a shot every now and then, but
well.
it's usually he's looking for a sly little pass in behind when he cuts inside, or he's looking for someone to run around him. I think.
Do you know what?
There's just some players are better at doing it.
I've got a sneaky feeling on the left he'd be even better. I really have. He's left-footed.
We won't know until he tries it.
He'd be looking for that pass or that slide it across the 6-yard box, and he can get past people.
I actually thought him and Bruno were working really well together in the first half. A lot of people going in on Bruno Fernandes, and everyone's going to go in on me again saying, Beth's blind when it comes to Bruno, but I actually thought he had a good game, bar the error he made in giving the ball away for them to score a goal, which obviously is a big contributing factor in us losing. So, you've got to hold your hands up on that.
And his corner kicks.
His corners. I was just about to go into that.
Anything else? Let's have another.
Yeah.
What else did the Romans do for us?
Ricky's got
his corners, wow. I mean...
What's the point?
One of them, it was this eye. Look, you always say you've got to beat the first man with your corner, and quite often you see that first man head it away. He didn't head it away, he kicked it away.
Yeah.
Kicked it away. I mean, come on.
It was almost like
honestly,
thingy height, wasn't it?
Dalot went over and spoke to him before his next corner, and I said he's probably going to say to him, you actually get it into the box this time.
Yeah.
Like, it was... That needs to be improved, and it's something that keeps happening. Although his free kick, Ricky, very close. Nearly.
He nearly got his second goal. And
If you'd have heard me watching that, because I went, what's the point of Bruno taking a free kick here? I went, we know it's going in the top tier.
Still don't count,
and then it was like,
it was a great effort, but it still don't count.
You did say, because you said if Amorim's still picking Bruno in January, you'll stop coming to the games.
I'm not coming anymore.
But you said
if he plays like this, that was in the first half.
If he plays like this, I'll keep coming. So you thought he had a good game.
I thought he was playing well first half, yeah, I did. I didn't spot the things that Tully mentioned earlier, so I'll have to watch for that on a rerun.
Beth kind of touched on it because you said he was playing very well with Ahmad, and Sam will back me up on this. When the first 15, 20 minutes, I thought our best football we played today was probably when we were 1-0 down for that first little 15, 20 minutes while we were chasing that equaliser. And Bruno was playing with Ahmad, and I said to Sam, Bruno, the best thing Bruno can do right now is just be a trampoline for Ahmad. Just let Ahmad get the ball off Ahmad and give it him back. Then, about 20, it might have been, I can't remember if it was after the equaliser or just before it, he moved over and tried doing it on the other side. He tried doing it off a Garnacho, and it was not happening. There was about 2 or 3 times where the ball had to go to Garnacho or Royland. He dilly-dallied, waited too long, ball wasn't on anymore, but then he tried to give it anyway, even though the ball wasn't on anymore. And I went to Sam, and Sam will back me up, and went, he needs to go back over there. He was playing a lot better when he was playing next to Ahmad. And now you had a situation there where you've got 2 10s playing in the same side. It wasn't like the 10 switched over. Bruno just went and occupied the other side where Garnacho was as well, so you ended up with a lopsided thing where even though you got an extra player in there, it wasn't even making a difference. So I think you've seen a good 20 minutes from Bruno, followed by a poor 10, 15 minutes where I said he should go back to what he was doing.
What do you think of this statement? Ruben Amorim taking off Bruno Fernandes while losing 3-2 is something you can't explain. You want a goal, you want an assist, you want a key pass, you need Bruno Fernandes.
Who said that? Oh, in our Greaves, was it?
It's just a tweet that I've seen on Twitter about what I thought was an interesting comment to bring into the show to see if you agree with it. Because I thought, I'm going to be honest, when he came off, I thought after about 5 minutes, we didn't look like anything close to scoring a goal. And, if he would have stayed on, we might not have scored as well. Yeah. But I just didn't think we created anything.
I don't think we looked any worse or better. I just thought
he was up and puff most of the game, wasn't it?
I don't think Bruno coming off made a difference.
And it clearly wasn't an injury, because you could tell by his reaction when he come off as well. But at the same
interesting
time,
that, by the way, he subbed him with 25 minutes to go against Everton. He subbed him with 15 minutes to go. These things were unheard of under other managers.
I was just going to say that. Or is it refreshing?
He said it's because he was tired, but
Yeah, this is what, you know, Eric Ten Hag would have never have done this. He'd have played every single minute of every single game. So, in a way, you can look and go...
Every single minute?
Well, at least the manager's...
Not even taken off with 2 minutes to go under Ten Hag.
So the manager's, like, you know, asserting his authority in this team and saying that nobody's irreplaceable here. Yeah. And we know that Rashford's been sat on the bench, you know, the last 2 games. So, again, it's not clear where he fits into this system.
And what's more ludicrous than taking Bruno off the pitch is the idea that rather than bringing fresh legs on, keep him on. I said this against Arsenal, just in case he does something.
Just in case.
It's just in case. It's like we've got a fear. He's got to be on because what if
he does?
What if we kept him on and he would have done this? That's more ludicrous than not bringing on do you know what I mean? And being like, no, don't bring fresh legs on. He might do something. That's bonkers, mate.
Ruben Amorim spoke out about centre-backs holding on to the ball too much, which is what we said earlier on the show. He said they are trying to reach the perfect solution. They need time to train, 2 weeks, and the focus is don't lose the ball with sloppy passes. But they have to have more confidence to take the ball and play between the lines. Against low blocks, you have to take risks.
I picked up on it in the first 20, 30 minutes. Dalot was taking far too long.
Don't think he made a forward pass.
Far too long. But he could have made millions. Ireland was dropping for him. Bruno was dropping in. Cobby was dropping in. There was so many times where someone could have took the ball off him and he didn't give it. So, and that's when I was thinking to myself, I wonder if we'd look a bit better with Maguire in there.
I do think Cobby Mainoo had to make himself a little bit more available. I think sometimes he was behind a Forest player and he needed to come and make himself available because he's the best player we've got at coming collecting that ball and keeping hold of it. But I think it's just coming back from injury.
In his defence as well, I'm sure you might see it if you watch it back, Rick. I'm not sure if you see it on the telly, you should do, but from where I was sat, I had a great view of the game to where I could see so many people asking for the ball to feet and just not getting it.
That's true.
Do you know what? Garnacho, to be fair, there was loads of times in the first half where Garnacho came to collect it. He wanted the ball to feet because he wasn't getting the ball in behind, so he came to collect it to feet. He was showing to have it to feet, and again, he wasn't getting a look in. I also said to Sam there was a little bit of a weird thing here that I spotted, and I hope it's not a thing, but there was almost like there was a bit in the first half, very shortly after we went 1-0 down, where Ireland should have given it to Garnacho. And it was the blatantly obvious pass. It must have been about 5-10 minutes in, where Garnacho's gone on the outside, asked to go to him, and Ireland's tried to come inside on his weak foot and just ran into about 2 defenders. And I said to Sam, I hope players aren't making this a thing where because Garnacho's reluctant to give them the ball, they're reluctant to give him the ball back. And I was like, I hope that's not going to become a little thing amongst them, because it was a blatantly obvious pass, regardless of who it was. If it was Garnacho, if it was anyone, it should have gone to him. And he just ran into defenders on the inside.
You know, like the equaliser, I said to you earlier, I said, when I first seen it, I thought Garnacho just literally passed the ball to Højlund and he tapped it in. So I'm thinking, brilliant. Then when I watch it back, Garnacho actually tried taking a shot where, you know, there wasn't much on it. The keeper saves it, and obviously Højlund puts it in. But you look at little things like that and think, you know, top teams in them moments, and you just mentioned earlier, Beth, about in the final third, decision making is just, it's non-existent. It's absolutely horrendous.
Well, compare it to Ahmad against Everton.
Yeah.
There's a complete contrast, isn't it?
And again, it's like the same players are the ones that are turning up. Ugarte, Mazraoui, Ahmad, and they're the players that are capable. We have too many players that aren't capable, and people keep hoping and wishing and praying that, you know, these players are going to turn good under Amorim. But, you know, what's the saying?
Can't polish a turd.
Exactly.
What's that the saying you were looking for?
Yeah, that was. Robert McCormack says, I trust Maguire more than any other centre-back. PK says the players get rid of the dead wood, out with the old and in with the new. However, does this club have pockets deep enough to do it? You know, you don't have to spend a shed load of money, you know. There is good players out there that you don't have to spend.
Mazraoui is a classic example. But they're putting the ticket prices up to 66 quid, so they must be looking at the January budget. We need a laugh back.
Saying midfielders don't drop in pockets for passes or create space for defenders to pass to. Instead, we pass around the back and get pressed. It's frustrating.
I promise you, mate, they were to that. I promise you can go and watch it. They just weren't getting the pass. You can go and watch it.
Who wasn't getting the pass?
Cobby,
Yeah.
Garnacho even. Garnacho was coming to feet. Ugarte and Cobby were switching back and forth anyway. They were covering for each other. But you can go and watch the first half hour, mate. There was too much dilly-dallying at the back. There were passes on that weren't getting made.
Glenn says, I said we're a club like West Ham now, about halfway through the previous season. We are average at best. Don't think you're wrong. Hambakaya says, Martinez is great, just that he's giving his best chances to Dalot. Dalot is like a jellyfish, keeps moving around without a brain. I think that's a bit far. It's a bit far.
It's a bit harsh.
We don't need to be like, you know, it's just, I know it's frustrating, but, you know. Michael says, Dalot has been shown up by Mazraoui. Keel says, Dalot it will be in Madrid. It will be in Madrid in 2 months. Keen Gerardi says Mainu should be playing further forward. Ashkran says the problem has always been poor recruitment, but we really outdid ourselves with Erik ten Hag. The damage he has done with recruitment has set us back years. 5 Cannon says teams don't fear us anymore, and it increases the task. J4MOK says, I think we need to remember he has a day of training before the game at the minute. We're hoping for miracles. Season is done, have to focus on Europa. Michael Maleo says, Ricky doubles down like Ruben doesn't know. Crime Pay says, Garnacho and Rashford aren't technical enough and Rasmus is being misused. Xerxes should start. Anthony is better on the ball. And Hambaika says, instant gratification has ruined football. Fans, i.e. TikTok. Amorim has a style and a play. However, Garnacho and Rashford are just plain poor. Amorim needs time. Thank you everyone for all of the super chats coming in. Rajan also says, problem is we only consider a tap-in as a chance, but we cross 2 to 3 times a game where the striker isn't there, busy wrestling, and it won't count towards his stats. Just a thumbs up and mark to defend him. I think he's obviously talking about Hoyland there. The Virginian says, realistic goals now, win Europa and avoid relegation. Keel says we miss Amrabat. Sam Heat says Mainu isn't brave enough with the ball, but Garner cops all the flack as he's out wide. Let's not break him. I don't agree with that in terms of Cobby. AY says, oh, I've done that one. Thank you everyone for your super chat. Sorry if I've missed any. I've tried to get through as many as possible. Please hit a like on the video. Quickly going to do what our starting 11s would be for City. I know we do have a Europa League game midweek, but we'll look at that in the upcoming days. But I really do want to talk about City because they've just drawn to Crystal Palace. Away at the Etihad's going to be a tough game. Man United aren't in a fit state right now. You'd like to think we have a chance of going there and getting something with the current way that City are, but Manchester United are really poor as well. So I'd like to know what they would pick, the lineup, not what Amorim would pick, what they would pick. So, I mean, Ricky, actually, should I start with you? Yeah, I'll start with you, Ricky. Okay. In terms of looking at City, you know, we'll talk about the Europa League game start of this week, but in terms of Manchester City, what lineup would you be picking?
I'll go through it very quickly after I've said a very quick happy birthday to my mother-in-law in Brixworth in Northamptonshire. She's 80 today. So if you're watching, Linda, have a really lovely birthday.
Happy birthday,
Linda.
Happy birthday, Linda. So,
Onana in goal. I think Maguire's got to play. I think Mazraoui's got to play next to him. The left side, obviously Martinez. You see, does deserve to lose his life. We're just not comfortable in that left spot, are we? But I would probably, I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd put Mazraoui in that left spot and I'd put Dalot in the right spot and Maguire in the centre. So I would go Dalot, Maguire, Mazraoui. I've just said earlier, swap them over. I would put Dalot right wing back and I'd put Ahmad left wing back. I really would.
I agree with this 100% up to now, I've got to say.
Midfield 2, I'm good. Well, not just the midfield 2, but I want players who are going to look after the ball. And I know you might think I'm contradicting myself with Casemiro, but Casemiro's due a game. He might play Thursday. We need a little bit more tenacity, a bit more determination in that middle. I would go with Ugarte and Casemiro. And then my 2 10s, I would go Mount and Mainu.
Wow.
And Hoyland up top.
Any changes that you make to that, guys?
I totally agree on the Casemiro, Ugarte. I think further forward, for me, it would be Bruno and Mainu. I really want to see the more that Ricky said that earlier, this Mainu being as a number 10, he is a player that could make things happen, especially when you're looking at a game like Manchester City where it's going to be tight. It's obviously a derby. When you've got a player like that, sometimes he's a bit wasted being that number 6. I know he does really good work in that area of the pitch, but a bit further forward. And what's the worst that could happen? We're obviously, struggling at this moment, creating chances, and it's just something different.
Mine would be, I'd have Onana in goal. I'd have Dalot, Maguire and Euro as the 3 centre-backs. I'd have my wing-backs as Ahmad on the right and Mazraoui on the left. I'd drop Dalot, I'm sorry, he's not playing good enough. I'd have Ugarte and Mainu midfield. I'd have Bruno and Mount in the 10s and Højlund up front.
None of you have mentioned a player who I was going to pick. You might think I'm absolutely daft.
Go on.
He goes a wild card. Anthony.
I'd play Malacia.
Oh, would you?
I would.
Ooh.
I would. I'd play Malacia. I don't think he was terrible in that first half against Arsenal. I really don't.
He's obviously finding his way back to kind of full fitness.
What I would do is, I liked Malacia and Mazraoui as the left-sided centre-back against Arsenal. I don't think it looked bad at all. So I would go Onana, Maguire as my central centre-back. I'd go with the same back three actually as Arsenal. Go Maguire in the middle, Dalot on the right, Mazraoui on the left. I'd go Malacia as my left wing back. I'd go with Ahmad as me. Would I go with Ahmad? Yeah, I would. I'd go Ahmad as my right wing back. With 2 in the middle, I think I'd go Ugarte. And honestly, I'd like to see Christian Eriksen in there. I'd like to see Ugarte and Christian Eriksen because Eriksen played the first game against Ipswich next to Casemiro, and everyone was saying they're too old, but I think you put Ugarte next to Eriksen, it might free him up a little bit. So I'd like to see Eriksen and Ugarte, and with 10s, I would like to see Mainu. I think you've got to play Mount against City though. So I've got to leave someone out here.
Come on, Sol.
I've got to leave either. I've said I'm playing Mount. I've got to leave either Bruno or Mainu out. Who would have leave?
You're not cut out for man management.
Yeah, I know. No,
He's frightened of saying it.
Don't want to drop
you know what? You know what I want to say, and I don't.
You got a pick.
No, I don't know.
You do.
I'd be up all night.
Now.
I'd be up. I'll go with Bruno.
As in you'd pick him?
Yeah, I'd pick Bruno. I'd go Bruno, Mount, and honestly, I'd roll the dice on the striker. Coin flip the striker. Not really bothered out of Højlund or Xerxes.
Paul's acting like he's picking between Messi and Neymar here.
Imagine how Amorim feels. I'd be up all night ripping me.
That was like you were actually picking the team for next week.
I'd be sat with a whiskey all night, just like. But Malacia, I would play Malacia.
Robert McCormack says Rashford at the Etihad, Mount and Bruno in behind. Oh, Rashford up front. If he was going to play it, you'd play him as a centre forward, wouldn't you? But I still wouldn't play him. Noah Lalabity says Ricky doesn't understand how Ahmad dribbles. If he thinks Ahmad on the left is better, you would lose the ability to cut in. Dalot, if Dalot is at right wing back, then Ahmad has to be at the 10. Bip says Mainu is a ball carrying midfielder. Why play him in the 10? And I think they're all the super chats as of now. Thank you very much. Hit a like on the video. Last but not least, we've gone over an hour. I know it's been very much the therapy for him today. We're all a bit down.
I feel like we say that
every other week.
We keep moving. We'll end it on a bit of a positive. If you could give a man of the match, who would you give it to, Tull?
I'd give it to Ugarte, I think.
Kev?
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Thought he was brilliant, and he's getting better and better, which is a good sign.
Yeah, I'll go with that as well. Yeah.
And
Full house, I would go with Ugarte.
Really starting to add end product in now.
That pass through to Garnacho for the Højlund goal was fantastic.
The weight of the pass was absolutely spot on, and there was a few instances in the first half, and then just as a given, he runs all game long, but he doesn't just pointlessly run. It seems like every time he runs, he's getting in someone's face, nicking the ball off them. So yeah, you start to see some real output from Ugarte.
It's like that South American shithousery, as I call it. That
rest him midweek, have him there for City. That's what I'd do.
I agree with that. I think Casemiro will play in the Europa League
I
midweek.
think so.
He's not obviously played in a couple of games. And if you can anyone find a magic moment?
Ooh.
It's got to be the second goal, I think. Ahmad's little dribble and pass to Bruno as Bruno Made a bit of space.
Great finish from Bruno as well.
I'd go with that as
I was
well.
a big fan of Ugarte's assist.
Oh,
I was a massive because you seen the run from Garnacho along. You seen it happening, and you thought, I wonder if he can get that. I wonder if he can sneak that pass in there, and he did. He got the exact weight. He could have very easily cocked the weight of that pass up, but he got it bang on.
Last 2 super chats. Chris Petrie says Ugarte, Casemiro and Mount. Let's give it a go. Chris says is. I'm not reading that out. Anyway, thank you guys. Therapy Forum is over. We have Europa League midweek. And can I just say quickly to finish up the show, that Europa League is so important. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, as you say, but it is. There's absolutely zero chance on this planet we're getting top 4. I'm sorry. Just based off
It's the only gateway to
the way
getting
that we're
into
playing. I don't even think in the league we'll end up getting Europe at all. I really do not want to be sat here this time next year only having 1 game a week. I really want to be in Europe, any form of Europe. Obviously, I want to be in the Champions League, but this team currently isn't at the level to compete in the Champions League, so you're only there if you deserve to be. But the Europa League is absolutely huge. Huge. So we've got to push on.
You just don't want to miss out on your trips to Spain and Portugal and all over, gallivanting around.
Honestly,
you can't beat it though, can
genuinely,
you?
obviously I love doing that, but I was speaking to Ricky before, I'd be bored if I didn't have a midweek game. I love a midweek game. You know, you get
Something to look forward to. It breaks your week up, doesn't
exactly. I know you talk about, players have to play a lot of games and rotation.
I like that.
Sorry.
I know, I'm just saying, players have to play a lot of games and rotation and stuff, but we all love watching football, don't we? You got to love a midweek game, but anyway. And we need money in the transfer window as well.
Yeah, true. I'd say the game against City is just as important. What would you, I don't want to keep us going, but if we get beat by City and Amorim's first potential, it'd be 4 points out of his first potential 15. Is that, would you say would you say it's expected with the squad he's got, or would you say we've got to do a bit better than that?
I'll do a bit better. I mean, it's a pretty tough start with Arsenal away and City away, but we've had Ipswich away and Forest at home. You've got to expect at least 6 points. You've got to get at least 2 wins out of them.
Yeah, it's going to be tougher.
I honestly, at this moment in time, obviously I want to win games, but I'm really genuinely not even that fussed about results. I just want to see performance, and I want to see him stick to what he's come in to do. But the ones I'm more bothered about the Europa League at this moment in time, because I think it's so important that we push on to win that.
So open as well, isn't it?
Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. We've gone over it Saturday night. Go and enjoy your Saturday night plans, and hit a like on the video. Any nice Saturday night plans, guys?
Might have a glass of red wine maybe when I get home.
You'll need one.
Maybe a bath.
I'm going to go home, rewatch
Have a bath and red wine.
rewatch the forum and take a shot every time Ricky says go. Anyway.
Sounds like a great night.
Honestly. Anyway, last but not least, also, just another big shout out to Wayne in Staley Bridge for our Christmas tree and Christmas decks over here in the United Stand. Festive cheer, go and spread it after Manchester United. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. Hit a like on the video if you've not already. Thank you to the Super Chats. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you on the next one.